Welcome to Karma's Harvest. Theron thought he was planting a digital trap to end his junior's career, but he was actually coding the lock on his own prison cell. What happens when the weapon you build to destroy? Another person decides that you are its true target. Theron was a man who believed that the corporate ladder was only wide enough for one, and he was willing to burn every rung beneath him to stay at the top. But as he would soon discover, when you release a monster into the machine, you lose the right to choose who it eats first. Have you ever wondered if the glitch in your life is just a mistake? Or if it's the universe's way of balancing the scales? Theron was the senior lead accountant at a prestigious firm, a man who prided himself on precision and a certain ruthless efficiency. Then came Liora. She was young, brilliant, and possessed an intuitive grasp of data that made Theron feel obsolete. Instead of mentoring her, Theron saw her as a parasite draining his light. He decided that Liora wouldn't just fail, she would be disgraced. Over several late nights, Theron used his administrative access to craft a sleeper virus, a microscopic piece of code designed to trigger during the final annual audit. His plan was simple. The virus would subtly alter Liora's entries, making it look like she was incompetent, or worse, that she was trying to skim money from the company's largest clients. He wanted her fired, blacklisted, and broken. The day of the audit arrived, and the tension in the office was thick enough to cut with a blade. Liora sat at her desk, her brow furrowed as she ran the final reconciliation reports. Theron watched her from his glass-walled office, sipping a cold espresso with a smug grin. He waited for the inevitable panic, the moment the system would flag the massive discrepancies he had planted. But as the progress bar on Liora's screen reached 100%, the office didn't fill with her cries of confusion. Instead, every printer in the building began to hum at once. Thousands of pages began to pour out. But they weren't the standard audit reports. They were internal memos, bank statements, and encrypted logs, all marked with Theron's private digital signature. In his arrogance, Theron had made a fatal error in the virus's logic. He had programmed the code to seek out hidden assets to frame Liora. But the virus was too efficient. It bypassed the dummy files he'd created and burrowed into the firm's deepest, most secure servers, finding the actual secret accounts Theron had been using to embezzle funds for the last 5 years. The code didn't just find the data. It interpreted Theron's frame-up instructions as a command to whistleblow. It compiled every cent he had ever stolen, cross-referenced it with his personal IP address, and automatically sent a high-priority report to the Financial Crimes Division of the local police. The small twist came when Theron tried to delete the source code from his terminal. He pounded the keys, his face turning a sickly shade of gray, but his access had been revoked. The system, sensing an internal threat based on the virus's own parameters, had locked him out of his own life. Liora walked over to his office door, holding a stack of the printed sheets. She didn't look angry, she looked disappointed. "Theron," she said softly, "I noticed the code you tried to hide in my folder. I didn't delete it. I just redirected its search parameters to all users. I thought if there was a bug, we should find out where it really came from." The big karma hit when the elevator doors opened, and 4 plainclothes officers stepped out. They didn't even look at Liora's desk. They walked straight to Theron's glass office. As the handcuffs clicked shut around his wrists, the entire floor went silent. Theron's own masterpiece had rewritten the company's history to make him exactly what he was, a thief. He had tried to give Liora a reputation for dishonesty, and in return, the universe gave him a permanent record. As he was led away, he saw his reflection in the glass, the image of a man who had tried to play God with a keyboard and ended up a prisoner of his own creation. But the harvest isn't over yet. While Theron sits in a holding cell, Liora has discovered something else hidden in those encrypted files, something that suggests Theron wasn't working alone. There's a second signature on the embezzlement logs, one that belongs to someone still sitting in that office right now. The digital trail is growing longer, and the next person to be harvested might be the one you least expect. What did Liora find in the final Audit V2 file that made her turn pale? Find out in Part 2. Make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell, because in the world of Karma's Harvest, the truth is the most dangerous virus of all.